The Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, in his Independence Day speech, drew attention to the dismal sex ratio in the country and appealed to Indians to stop female feticide. Never in the past such an appeal has been made from that podium. Is it time for India now to gear up for this menace and hold the bull by its horns? Where is this imbalance of boys and girls leading the nation to? Are we equipped at all to handle the situation at hand, or will we only keep having meaningless discussions day after day? What should be the road ahead? Let's try and find out from experts in this 1 hour. Welcome to Gender Discourse. I'm Lottie Alaric. To carry this discussion forward, I have in the studio a distinguished panel of guests. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Sabu George, who's from the Center for Women Development Studies and has done extensive work in this field. So I welcome you to the show, sir. Sitting next to him is Dr. Nuzhat Parveen Khan. She's the Associate Professor, Faculty of Law at the Jamia Millia Islamia University. So thanks for joining us. And I'm also very happy that today we are joined by Dr. Archana Thakur, who's a Deputy Secretary with the UGC. So I'm sure she'll have a lot to bring to the table today. Well, beginning with you, Archana, when we talk of female feticide, in the past we've had a number of debates here, everywhere else. The media has taken it up really, with such vengeance at times. But for the first time, you hear a Prime Minister of a country standing at those ramparts and actually, talking about this issue, which is now facing us in the eye. What would you have to say?
It's actually a commendable job undertaken by the government because it's a social stigma. Everybody has to fight on social front, and education is the key factor where you have to educate the common people, whether it be a man or a girl or your family or any section of the society. So if this movement is made as a mass movement, then this can go a long way ahead, and definitely we'll be able to curb this minute of fighting the female feticide. So we all have to get together, and in all sections and in all forms of society, and also in educational institutions, in medical boards, and also for the media to gear up for certain campaigns, and also for their sports personalities and all. They have to come up. The girls have shown their valor this time. So they have to come and show that really female have done a lot, and we have to make it as a mass movement in order to curb this menace from the society.
True, yes. So Dr. Nuzhat Khan, what is your view of this? How do you look at this, such an issue being talked about during a speech like that?
Yeah. So actually, it's first of all, as Archana rightly said, it's a commendable thing when our Prime Minister of India took note of the issue. That means it is going on to be one of the agenda of the government's good governance.
Right.
Secondly, when we use the term feticide, so in a way it very explicitly shows gender bias.
Correct.
It gives a discrimination against women, which can be in different forms. And when we say feticide, it again leads to that a child is killed inside the fetus.
Correct.
Which is the result of course, advanced technology. The technology which was actually, killing of females or bias against the female, bias against the girl child is from the very beginning. At least it is in the psyche of the Indian society most probably. And there are reasons for that probably, such as dowry, which is still rampant. It is still rampant despite a law, despite a well-placed law, Dowry Prohibition Act, but it is there. So somehow that particular burden which parents feel. So when the technology was not there, it was female infanticide, whereby killing the daughters by way of either giving poison in the food or neglecting them or abandoning them, or all sort of measures were there which were used. But when technology came, so there are two issues now. First of all, the technology which was for the purpose of benefits of
for
the society, for the child itself, for the mother itself. And secondly, technology is being used most of the time in cities by the and it can be accessed by the richer people, by the educated people. So it shows two things. First of all, infanticide, we could say those who are not knowing about the importance of this gender or this ratio, etc., they are indulging into it. But when we say feticide, obviously the people who are indulging into it, they are well educated, they are well accessed, they are more aware of this technology and the centers where all this can be done. So the issue is of very, very serious concern for all of us actually who are educated, that how it can be curbed from the society, so because we cannot say only by educating, because it is with the educated
because that's not really
people.
showing results,
yeah,
as we've
so
all
this
seen.
is what
That's
I
right.
feel.
So Dr. George, what has been your experience, because you worked at the grassroots level on this issue?
Discrimination against women has been there for thousands of years in our country. But what is unique about sex determination, sex selective abortion, is that it is targeted by the medical profession, and as Prime Minister Modi had requested in his address, had requested the doctors not to do it for money. So we are dealing with an organized medical crime. So
Correct.
Last 140, 150 years, we have had census being taken every decade.
Every decade, yes.
And what we are seeing in the last 4 decades has been a consistent drop in the number of girls being born and surviving in our country.
True.
So despite all forms of discrimination earlier on against, I mean, in terms of infanticide, in terms of neglect, the situation has never been so dismal as it has been today.
Now, yes.
So we are losing something like 6 lakh girls every year. So we are talking about a genocide. It's not
exactly, we are talking about a
genocide. So in that context, you know, the Parliament had the vision to enact the law, Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act in '94, and later in 2002 they strengthened it. So in terms of the legislative thing, it's been quite good. And unfortunately implementation had lagged, and that's why we had gone to the Supreme Court in 2000, and the court also had given us fairly good orders. The state of Maharashtra has done very well.
Okay.
And even the Supreme Court in the last order in 2013 had appreciated Maharashtra's efforts to curb the practice, implement the law. Today more than 50 doctors are behind bars.
Okay.
And we have had even Supreme Court deny bail to somebody in Bede who provided the cheapest sex determination in Maharashtra. So Maharashtra set an example for the country. It shows that the law can work. And interestingly, when Prime Minister Modi appealed to the people, I think it's important for the government to realize that for the last 1 year, the Central Supervisory Board had not met. It should have met in January, but unfortunately, for Ghulam Nabi Azad, this was not a priority. In April, we had requested the Secretary, Love Verma, so he said it's code of conduct. Now, this is a regular routine responsibility of the ministry, so they should have convened it. Now it is 4 months after the elections, after May 16, they've still not convened it. So we hope after Prime Minister Modi's address, we hope Secretary and the Minister Harshvardhan would give it some priority to.
Absolutely.
And
because
in many
that's what my fear is also, because you know these speeches are very nice to hear and they have the right kind of impact, but the problem is when it comes to implementation of all these schemes that they keep talking about, it's only then that we are going to see results.
And if there is a priority, if there is a political will, if there is a commitment on the part of the ministry, I think it will make a very big difference.
Absolutely.
And what we have seen today, like in 2001, 2011, it continued to drop. And you know, the children who are going to be counted in 2021 census, the next census, are being born now.
Correct.
So if we don't take steps right now, 2021 will be even more dismal than. So what we are going to see is that situation. We are probably going to hit 1 million girls being eliminated every year. That's 10 lakh girls.
That's right. So those are really sad figures.
And what we are seeing, this discrimination is, you know, not just here, because Indians are there around the world. So wherever Indians and Chinese, so we have seen in Canada, we have seen in UK, we have seen in USA, we have seen in Italy, wherever in Spain, wherever Indians are there, our Deshi girls born there are also coming down. So this is a global disgrace
so
for
wherever
our
we
country.
are, we are doing exactly what we are doing here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the research says. Now, he talked of political will, Archana. What would you want to say here? Because also, not only that, when we talk of the youth, since you are dealing with adolescents, what is the kind of idea that you get when you speak to them, or when these people, you know, do they talk about these issues? Do these issues make a difference to them at all?
See, now there is a sea change in the attitude of the young adolescent youth who have just moved from schools to colleges
right,
or higher
right.
education institution, because you know at that time basically the temperament changes, your ways, your behavior, your thinking, your whole outlook towards your life changes.
Yes.
Now the thing is ki they are very close to internet and you know media exposures.
True.
So they have no inhibitions. They are well aware of the facts. When we had a task force, for that we conducted open forums and we went to different parts of the country in educational institutions, leading universities and colleges. Then the students, they came forward and then they talked about everything from sex to their harassment to the problems inside the campuses and everything. So, you know, there is nothing left untouched for today's youth to be shied away.
Right.
So, if we think what was earlier, 5 years back also, that time, you know, we did not have connectivity. Now the world has shrunk into a small sphere. They know about the gender. The census shows from last 4 decades that it has 962 was the ratio per thousand, and now it is 914. So, you know, it has shown a sharp decrease. And also the girls, they are more aware that they have to do something for the family as well as the society. So you can understand that now the youth have come into public. You see when you take interviews outside any program and anything, the children, they come outwardly. We have this Rahagiri programs and all these going on in Delhi.
Right.
Delhi has changed a lot. Delhi has changed, Bombay has changed, Bangalore has changed, and even in small cities, because of the connectivity, and it is mainly the youth who are coming forward, and they are talking to people, talking to teachers. Still, you know, again, it's a Herculean task to make everybody aware.
Absolutely.
But if only 30% of the population of the students, they come forward. Now, northeastern students.
Archana, I'll have to stop you for a moment because it's time for us to slip into a very short break. But I think that's good news that the adolescents are being sensitized and how. But right now, we'll go into a break. When we come back, we'll try and find out whether it is enough to sensitize the girls, or now is it time for us to target boys of society too. Well, we'll talk about this after we come back. You too can be a part of this forum. All you'll have to do is reach us at 1800115314 or 23035420. Remember, today we are talking about female feticide being a menace of the Indian society. Welcome back. This is Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about female feticide and how to deal with it. Well, folks, do pick up your phone and reach us at 1800115314 or 23035420. Tell us what you feel about the issue. Tell us as to what more can be done and how can this menace actually be dealt with by all of us, each one of us, as we are all responsible for something like this. Well, Archana, you were telling us as to the kind of campaigns that the adolescents are really having and the kind of response that is really coming from them. So, is there anything that you would want to add?
Yeah, I'll add that not only girls but boys, and now we have added even transgenders also.
Oh, that's great.
In our scholarship program. So, you know, we are giving equal footage to an equal platform to all the sections of the adolescent students. And you know, university and college is not the place to get only employment or appointment.
True.
It's a place to groom their whole future. future. From there they have their career and their life ahead. So you know, if you give importance to the youth and to the adolescent of our country and make them aware of this problem, I think it can become a very big mass movement, and they can carry forward the banner to eradicate completely the female feticide.
Absolutely. So Dr. Khan, what in your view now should be done in order to sensitize the males of society? Because the women, I think we've done enough, and it's not really the women who have a say in that, what is happening to them at the time of pregnancy. So don't you think that now we need to hit the target and hit it really hard?
Actually, yes. In fact, if you look at the Act itself, the major job which is to be done by various authorities who are being appointed under the Act, be it Central Supervisory Board or be it authorities, other authorities, their prime duty, apart from dealing or looking into the clinics and laboratories, their prime job is to sensitize or to create mass awareness among the people, and that mass awareness include not only the girls, it is all the people of the society, including boys. And yes, of course, the present generation and the boys among it. I have noticed, being a university professor, that this generation, present generation, they don't have this particular feeling of gender difference. They are quite at tally, and they are very much equal. So if really they are being sensitized, they can carry the job much forward. They can really do a good job, and I hope if authorities are sincere in our country, that is
the
biggest
political
issue,
will that
because
he was talking about.
it's a very shameful thing for all the large number of people, including from ministries onward to bureaucrats, doctors, social workers, all sort of people who are being made the members of these bodies, and today we see the result is nil. Because when you look at the paper, which is saying lot about the Act, it's good wordings, good provisions, which talk about all sort of caretaking, but despite that, today we feel as if we are living, I mean, because today in our discussion itself, can we suggest we should have a law? Because we already have not law but laws actually. We have Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, we have this Prenatal Pre-Diagnostic Techniques Regulation and Prevention Act, as well as it has been amended in 2002. And after the amendment was required, why it was required? Because the Act, which was actually created for the purpose of diagnosing some type of genetic disorders and abnormalities and some other type of chromosomal disorders. But those who were the mentors, those who were there to do this good job with regard to, so that we don't have abnormal children, we don't have some genetically, so they indulge into, because while doing that particular test, they come to know that what is the sex of the child. But it is prohibited under law that they can communicate that information to the mother or to the family members of the people. But more than that, more than the real work, they are actually indulging into that particular thing, informing that sex, and then extorting huge amounts of money. There is a prohibition on that type of advertisement also, but despite that, it is happening more and more. More it is being prohibited, more it is happening. Large number of people are coming. And as I told earlier also, educated people are more involved into it. So it requires really feeling or sensitization. And on the other side of it, if we look at, government also have created so many policies and programs to save the girl child, or to give better, they can be Raj Lakshmi or Dhan Lakshmi schemes, or Ladli schemes, this and that scheme, so that they, so that they can give financial incentives to the parent who have girl children. But despite that, it is not stopping. I think
let me get Dr. George's opinion on this. Despite of all this that she has just said, why is it that we are not able to make a dent anywhere?
As I said, in Maharashtra, the doctors are really facing the heat, and they're very worried because that doctors elsewhere are making money. So therefore, what Maharashtra has done over the last few years, if the rest of the country does, then we are likely to see no further declines in 2021. But if the rest of the country doesn't see, traditionally, say till 1980, North India had relatively poor child sex ratios. South India, Eastern India had good ratios. But today we are seeing, every part of the country deteriorate. In my state of Kerala, we are seeing now all communities, whether it's Christians, Muslims, Hindus, all are competing to eliminate girls. Though it's very small, but still probably 0.5% to 1%, but still, you know what I'm saying is, for the last 140, 150 years we have had among the best child sex ratios, you know.
True.
So now what we are seeing in the last 10, 15 years decline in sex ratios at birth, and the other thing related to education. Now medical education has expanded very rapidly around the country.
Yes.
We are now producing, you know, many more times doctors than before, but unfortunately the nature of private medical education, where people are now spending 4 to 5 crores to get radiology, people are spending 1 to 2 crores to get undergraduate degrees. So you know, so when you pay money and then get degrees, you
then
cannot expect the medical doctors to have any kind of ethics. So that
Absolutely.
is something which is worrisome. And what we have seen, like for instance in Andhra, in 1995 there were 7 medical colleges, all in the government sector. By the time Chandrababu Naidu left in 2003, there were 30 medical colleges, all the new one in the private sector. The one in Kuppam was his own, the one in Nellore he had a part share. So you had a very rapid expansion of private medical education in Andhra, and so most of these colleges did not even have teaching faculty. So they were literally giving degrees to quacks, you know, because people did
That's
not
right.
have the clinical
They
skills.
don't have the
or
trainers to train you.
And so in 2011, Andhra had the sharpest drop in South India. In 1991, Andhra had the best child sex ratios. So what we are seeing, even the best parts of South India are falling very sharply. Now we are looking at districts in 2011 like Warangal, close to 900. What was Punjab like in 1991?
Right. So which just means that in spite of having so many laws, you know, to govern, so which means that clearly they are being flouted and something is wrong somewhere. So, and how do we hold this horn, this bull, is the question I think that is in front of all of us. What do you want to say?
I'll say the mindset of the people have to be changed. Medical colleges will come, educational institutions will come, more doctors will come, more educationists will come. People will come, speak on common platform, go, and you know, ultimately they have to go inside their family. Okay, and the family, the moral values have to be taught to the children.
Yes.
In schools as well as in colleges, you have to, you know, impart this moral values so that the gender disparity is not there, and also to, you know, give a lot of respect to men as well as women, both. Like, you know, we have a patriarchal society where men is all and everything is above. Men is working, so he's held high. NSSO data also says that, you know, men wages are higher than women.
Yes.
Women don't do any work, women don't do anything. You know, this kind of mindset is there. We have to change that. It is everywhere. You go any part of world, you go to China, you go to Vietnam, you go to Korea, even in US also, you know, last presidential election we had seen that Obama was highlighted, and then another president lady was not. So, you know, this mindset has to change because we are working at par with men. So, and definitely we have to give a lot of respect to the society and to the medical fraternity also. Actually this gender female feticide originated by a process there's called amniosynthesis, in which they detect the defects inside the embryo.
Correct.
So, you know, they use this unethically. So this is again
and that
your
machine is so small, it can go on the carrier of a bicycle. That's what I'm told.
So, you know, this is again the mindset of the person who from right thing he turned into a wrong thing. So, you know, at that time if the education was there, now for 500 they are carrying out abortion in villages or in small area. So 500 is not important. What is important, that what you are giving to the society. When a male child is born, they make celebrations, they distribute laddus, and they go to gurudwaras or mandir, any sect of society. It is not that. But when a female is born, then the neighbors will come and then, you know, cool you down. You have a daughter, so you know, no problem. You know, she'll do, and then so many things. But now we have the society where girls have come up. Earlier also it was, we have Lata Mangeshkar and Mother Teresa and other legendary also. Now that this Commonwealth Games, we have maximum medal winners.
Maximum medals have come from
that
women.
mindset has to change.
Right.
You know,
talking of this money that really goes into these sonographies or these the procedures of sex determination tests, Dr. Khan, I'm told that when they go for these tests, they tell them you pay 5,000 rupees now so that you save on the 5 lakh of dowry when this girl grows up.
Right.
So the mindset
these are
that
the slogans which have been
Yes.
created, that you pay 5,000 and you save 5 lakh or 5 crores maybe today.
Correct, correct.
This is so ultimately it goes back to the mindset, to the roots, to the
Absolutely.
patriarchal system whereby dowry, and it's an irony that to date we have not been able to root out that particular thing itself.
Exactly.
In
I
fact,
want
more
to
and
talk
more
about that,
luxury
Dr.
marriages
Khan.
are
I'm coming back
into.
to this because dowry is a menace in society, and that is one of the major reasons as to why we have these girls being killed when they are in the womb of the mother. Well, folks, we'll discuss this, but on the other side of the break. Do come back quickly and do call us. Our lines will be opened 1800115314 and 23035420. Sex selection at birth, such a big issue in our country. Come back quickly as we'll coming back too. Welcome back. This is Gender Discourse, and today we are talking about female feticide and how to deal with it. Well, we have a viewer with us. This is Mr. J.N. Rao from Tamil Nadu. So, Mr. Rao, if you're there with me, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please go ahead, sir.
There is a growing awareness in our country that discrimination against female feticide is an illegal and social act that must be rooted out. The unborn child has the right to exist. Maximum punishment should be meted out to the persons who practice female feticide. Documentary films highlighting these evils should be produced, and mass circulation of the documentary should be there. Thank you.
That's
it is a heinous crime.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling us. I think that's what it is, unless we penalize the culprits, the people, the perpetrators who are actually indulging in activities like this, only then we are going to see results. Because when you see nothing like this really comes up, don't you think, Dr. Khan?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And if you look at the law prescribes punishments. In fact, the procedure of establishment of these clinics and these laboratories or these genetic centers, it itself requires that they have to go through some procedure of registration, and otherwise they cannot carry on privately without making it notice to the law, to the authorities. And after the establishment, it is then there are these bodies which I just now told you, central supervisory boards and authorities, state authorities and central authorities. So all these authorities are given the responsibility of taking care of the registration, whether these clinics or laboratories are registered. Apart from that, either upon complaint, or they can take suo motu notice of whether some of these clinics are being established or are running without getting through the procedure. And in case if it is found, then there are provisions for heavy penalty and fine, such as 3 years of punishment.
Whether something is happening or not is
that is the problem, whether something is
Ma'am,
happening.
I'll have to interrupt you for a moment. We have a viewer. This is Mr. G.K. Patnaik from Orissa. So, Mr. Patnaik, can you hear me, please?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Madam, regarding female feticide, I want to put 2 questions. Government of India allow MPT, medical termination of pregnancy. Now, social stigma on ladies, on a girl child is very bad. Now, even the country is showing the worst picture regarding the ladies. And you have simultaneously allowed MTP. So, who is being killed, who is saved, how could you know? Now, the females, they do not want one, then after they went and have an MTP. The female itself desires means it's doctors do MTP.
Well,
there is no question. How can you change? There are some two. That means one train is pulled by one engine from the front, another engine from the back. So
Well,
you stop
thank you for joining
MTP
us. I
first.
do get your point of view, but let me see whether my panelists really agree with you or not. Dr. Sabu can go first.
What Mr. Patnaik perceives MTP as the problem of declining child sex ratios is totally wrong.
Correct.
MTP enabled women to decide whether they want to keep their pregnancy or not. So, since men in our country do not accept any responsibility for contraception,
True.
so today, women need to be provided that right is there in the MTP. So a doctor decides whether women can go in on certain particular conditions. So it is so the MTP was made for a particular purpose.
Correct.
And unfortunately, most of the country, the regulation of the MTP centers is not happening. Maharashtra has registered several thousand centers. So the problem is not of abortion. The problem is of determining